to the main stage of Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology. To everyone walking around the exhibition, we've got a couple of chairs here, so just come and join us. We have a very exciting panel discussion next, and it's all about the new industrial revolution, how smarter AI drives innovation. We're going to explore how AI, edge, and high-performance computing are driving real-world impact, from powering global events like FIFA and Formula One to enabling enterprises through strategic partnerships. Now, our speaker's going to highlight real-world collaborations and practical outcomes that demonstrate the transformative power of these technologies. Now, moderating the session, the new industrial revolution, how smarter AI drives innovation. Please welcome on stage Assistant Professor Tom Goh from the Singapore Institute of Technology University. Good morning. And on the panel, we have Mr. Alexei Navalokin, General Manager of Asia Pacific Region at AMD. Good morning. We also have with us Mr. Sai Ong, Senior Regional Commercial Sales Lead of Asia Pacific and Japan of Microsoft. Good morning. Also, Mr. Daniel Tan, Executive Director, Solutions and Services Group of Lenovo. Good morning. And last but not least, Mr. Nigel Lee, Singapore General Manager of Lenovo as well. Very good morning, gentlemen. Right over here. And over to you, Assistant Professor Tom Goh.
All right, thank you so much. All right, this will be an interesting session. Thank you for being here. I know the acoustics at the back can be quite wonky. If you cannot hear us, you can move closer to the stage. Okay, today's an interesting topic and something that's close to our hearts, gentlemen. So I think the last few weeks I caught that, look, we know that AI is moving from pilots to production. Right? AMD has announced its Lux Discovery supercomputer. Congrats. It's a $1 billion deal in the US. And we also know that Microsoft has been consistently applying responsible AI in the way that it delivers its products. And for both of you gentlemen, Lenovo is making big wave from World Cup to F1, really exciting times. So today, let's go to give the audience a glimpse that the next industrial revolution is not about smarter code, but smarter collaboration. Okay, going to start off with 1 minute, and I need to hold Nigel true to this, yeah? So for all of you here in this room, in 1 minute, share one example this year where AI proved its value. Something that worked, or something that surprised you, or something that changed how your team thinks about AI. So 1 minute, and Nigel going to hold you to 1 minute. Yeah.
I think AI has come a long way in the last 2.5 years, 3 years. And Lenovo has taken a very major step, in not only just talking about AI. I mean, we are the one that actually ate our own dog food. So we have been using AI since 2015, if you can recall, in all our Legion gaming machines. We have been loaded with AI for the gamers because of the competition that they compete. They need to be very advanced and they need to be really, really precise in the gaming community. And that has actually brought forward to 2025. Now we're actually applying AI, not just for daily use, but using AI in areas of automation, robotics. If you later on you go to our booth, you see that we have transformed ourselves, not only just providing the hardware in terms of notebooks and PC, which we are well known, but now we are equipping logistics warehouse, automating them, making sure that robotics behind the scenes are all AI. So here has come a long way. The AI journey has not just known as ChatGPT or DeepSeek. The AI is behind the scene, really collecting the data, analyzing the data, making good use to production.
Thank you for sharing that journey. I think with CY on stage, I think you should mention Copilot and not ChatGPT. Yeah.
So Copilot is everywhere. So don't worry about it. Once you buy a Lenovo notebook, you'll be equipped with Copilot.
It's embedded there. So do check out the booth behind us. It's a wonderful booth that shows that 10 years of innovation and history. Daniel, over to you.
I think if you look at AI, it's really a way of our life and our work. It's a matter of time, right? It will just come, right? So we have to embrace it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us what you see day in, day out in the trenches, yeah? Yeah, and CY, over to you in terms of how you see that from a Microsoft perspective.
Hey, thanks, Tom. I think for me, in the past few years, working closely with AMD and Lenovo, as we develop Windows-based Copilot Plus PC, how we actually included NPU into our device, right? The good thing is that we have seen how AI from the cloud has come to device on the local as optimization. And throughout the whole progress, the most profound thing that strike me is actually how organization and us implement responsible for AI. For example, how can we build all this into workflow, into operations, and making sure that AI is being governed, not just by policy in the paper, but also into actions as well. So I think to me that is the most profound thing. Yeah.
If you don't know what's NPU, please grab hold of this gentleman later. And later on in our sharing session, we'll talk about the 6 frameworks and how you apply that into the production and process itself. Last but not least, Alexi.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I'm really excited to be here. Switch is one of the best events. Actually, it's becoming tradition. Every year we come here and we talk about the strategies and whatnot.
We need to make a disclaimer. Switch didn't pay Alexi to say that, yeah? It's
Yeah,
genuine from
yeah.
the bottom of his heart, yeah?
Absolutely. And what excites me is actually that lots of startups, they're coming with ideas, with new technology, with innovation. And this is where AMD is actually coming from. You've seen AMD announcing lots of recent deals. We announced deal with Oracle, with OpenAI, with Microsoft, Quantum, with IBM. But what excites me the most is actually small startups. And one of them actually been doing a little bit more research and development on healthcare, and healthcare specifically for detecting breast cancer. That's MedCognitics. That's the startup actually achieved quite a lot. Some of the image detection and early detection of cancer is so critical. And what they've done, they actually developed the model, obviously on AMD technology and the background on Ryzen AI, and what they make it accessible. They go into the villages on the vans and actually doing all the detection on the spot, and actually early detection helps everybody. So this is where my excitement is. Small startups, they make a big difference in AI.
Thanks, Alexi. We don't have Village here, but I get what you're trying to say, that this sort of distributed computing through AI really helps different stakeholders across the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
On this point, starting with you again, from your perspective or from AMD perspective, right, what defines smarter AI itself at a hardware level? When does performance really hit real-world impact?
Well, smart AI, first of all, AI is more about efficiency, collaboration, and openness. Efficiency is basically where you take different workloads. You don't need to have all the GPUs, all the latest and greatest GPUs. Majority of the models, or LLM, probably 13 billion parameters and less, they can run on CPU. And you can do it on the smaller scale. Some of the inferencing doesn't need high-end CPUs. You can run it on FPGAs on a smaller scale. That's basically efficiencies. You can run less hardware and actually less performance. At the same time, collaboration is so critical. If you look at the big deals which we struck together with Microsoft, with Lenovo, it's a joint effort. This is where the smart AI is. It's a joint effort between the developers, communities, open ecosystem on the software side. There's no lock-in, so you share your ideas, you work on your software stack, and at the end of the day, you work together with ecosystem players from the data center, from the clouds, from the new clouds, and all the developers. So that's basically what the smart AI is, from my perspective.
Thank you so much for the acronyms that you just mentioned in terms of the efficiency and collaboration and openness. You can see genuine partnership across the three of you in this room, yeah? For Microsoft CY, how does smarter AI show up in how Microsoft scale it in a responsible manner across both big and small companies?
Yeah, if I were to look at it, I think first of all, we need to look at what are the challenges that we have today, right? So some of the bottlenecks that we are facing, for example, from technical point of view, we still see that a lot of organizations, when they do POCs, design, testing in the sandbox, as in like a secured environment, they always face challenges when they try to move that into production, when they try to scale. So the number one thing is definitely the infrastructure gap, right? So they did not foresee that. And then secondly is about the compute constraint, perhaps not just on the servers, but also on the edge devices as well. And then the other one is, the data that was fragmented everywhere. So those are the technical related challenges. But if you look broader than that, we also look at cultural and ethical as well, right? So if you look at cultural, the first thing we look at is that all of us has fear if we don't understand, the technology. So for example, lack of AI literacy could be one of the challenge. So people might fear that, hey, will I lose my job one day, if I implement AI? So those are the common questions that they have. I think that lack of educations. The other one is more about, the governance, like we have global standards, and then we have local culture. Somehow, some of that might crash in a way, right? So those are things that we need to look into. And the last thing is that we know that there's policy like what I called out earlier. So how do you build that into your actual AI implementation, design, so on and so forth? So by having all of this being addressed, what you have created is trust. So to me and to us is that trust is actually what we call a currency in AI. So the more you have, the more AI adoption you will have as well. And that can really help to scale AI in a bigger manner.
Thank you for sharing that. I think as you were talking about the challenges in the POC, in terms of those 3 technical challenges, it's wonderful to have a partner in both Lenovo, all right, and also in AMD to tackle those sandbox issues. Back to really hitting the ground for both of you in terms of Daniel and Nigel, right? When AI reaches your customer frontline, what is truly smarter in execution and practice? Either one of you, whether is it Daniel or Nigel, yeah.
For me, I think AI is all about doing more with less, right? So you think about it, it's how about using AI to gain more productivity, right? So if you think about it like for a supermarket, for example, how we manage theft, right? In today's world, instead of hiring people to monitor theft, so you can practically use AI and computer vision to prevent theft in this sense, right? So AI can practically transform the whole technology in that front. You want to add?
Nigel?
Well, I think everybody has answered the question. I think it's all about it's all about outcome. All right. I think there's one too many data out there. Today is how do you use the data to your best efficiency to drive the outcome. And I think pretty much Singapore, I think the government has been emphasizing a lot. It's all about productivity and efficiency, all right? And the supporting evidence behind the government is no turning back. It's for us to go automation and robotics, due to the fact that we don't have enough human resource, and probably we're not going to keep on increasing. And we want value employee and really immigrants or foreign workers in Singapore. I think Lee Hsien Loong has spoke about it yesterday when he was at Chatham House. So I think the only way for us is really to automate and robotize the whole thing using AI as the platform. And that will definitely have a better outcome for a lot of companies, especially if you come to approve. We have been automating some of the logistics that we really put high productivity. The returns of productivity is almost 30%. The real estate has actually been returned. In the past, they only can build the warehouse to a certain level. Due to the fact it's very manual, you have to use forklift, all these pallet drivers to bring in your goods from the last row to where you're going to load your cargo. These days with automation, actual fact, you can build your racks all the way to the ceiling. And that is really, Singapore, the real estate is on the ground, but don't forget, we're also paying for the air in the airspace in the warehouse. So why not captivate and utilize as much as possible? And that is return on investment to the companies. And I think we have done it successfully in Singapore. And thus, I think that is really the real outcome, of the result of AI, all behind the scene, working towards the productivity and efficiency of the companies.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you are alluding to your successful case in ST Logistics.
Yes,
in terms of focusing on the outcome using AI as an enabler. So Nigel, let me stay with you because you work closely with clients day in, day out, right? You're literally on the front line just as much as Daniel. What mindset shift is the hardest when helping them to see you beyond just as a hardware partner towards a solution partner, right? What builds confidence in doing what you do? I mean, you've done it well with ST Logistics. So what is the hardest to shift in terms of perceiving you differently?
Okay, so the shift, I think to today, if you think of Lenovo ThinkPad, okay, people still think that ThinkPad comes from IBM. It is true. 40 years ago, it was about 30 plus years ago, it was invented or was created by IBM. Right? For your information, it was researched and invented in Tokyo, and it was created as a bento box. Okay, AI it and you get all the information. Who are the researchers? And then Lenovo bought over about 20 years ago. Exactly today, say we bought over IBM ThinkPad 20 years ago. So today,
Congrats.
for 20 years, people still think that ThinkPad is an IBM brand, although we have been sold to Lenovo for 20 years. Now, the next transformation is about 3-4 years ago. we moved from a notebook to PC company. I say move away. PC and notebook is still our DNA. We can't run away from the fact, right? That's still our baseline business for Lenovo. But in Singapore and probably some parts of Asia Pacific, we started to transform from hardware solution driven, from hardware business to solution business. Why are we doing that? It's very simple. Because we have about 35 factories with another one coming out in Riyadh in next year. All the factories are almost automated. And one of our lighthouse or really cutting edge factory is in Tianjin, China, just outside of Beijing. That is a net zero factory, all right? And it's a lights off operation. That means dark factory. You walk into the warehouse, HFX, there's no humans. It's all robotics or automation. The only person there's only one person. She's the person that only monitors, the dashboard, what's happening. If anything goes wrong, she can activate the engineers. And on the assembly line, it's about all automation. There is no assembly people at all. Basically, it's all automated from CNC to assembly. The only people that is working on the floor are maintenance engineers. That's about it. Now, since we are already been a use case ourselves, we are a customer ourselves, why don't we use a use case to sell to our customers? Because we have the best practice, right? And basically we are replicating our own automated warehouse, our factories to all the 35 factories that we have now. Why don't we sell it to our customers? So it was a challenging journey for us because again, every customers that we approach on every single day, they thought of mind is like, come on guys, you are a PC and notebook company. Are you joking? You're gonna sell me an automated warehouse or manufacturing or even retail? What we did was actually we brought them to our Tianjin factory. That entirely changed the paradigm of how we are serving ourselves and to bring the actual use case to the customer. So 3 years later, HFX SDLock is only one of them. We have a lot still in the pipeline that we're building up and that has faith in us to build up, to automate their warehouse or even their manufacturing. And thus it was a journey for us, right? And definitely is no stopping for us. It's just for us to continue the business and grow it more. And we have the advantage because not only are we running the OT business, we have the IT background, right? So you will marry up, I don't think any other company in the world that has both the OT and the IT that can marry up and give the productivity and efficiency to the customers.
Thanks, Tejo. How many of you are keen to see the Tianjin Innovation Center? Give me a wave. How many of you? Right. The good news is, can I share this? Right. I think Nigel and Jimmy. Jimmy is somewhere in this room. Jimmy, where are you? Where's Jimmy? He's all the way at the back. I think you have announced it. Yeah, he's waving it. Catch hold of Jimmy or Nigel or Daniel. I think last few months ago you announced with SMF that you're organizing a government-funded innovation trip to both your Tianjin and Shanghai. So congrats on that. So all those who wave their hand later on, please grab hold of these three gentlemen. It's a government-funded trip for you to see all the lighthouse and bells and whistles, yeah? So thank you for that.
Yep. Actually, as we are talking now, there's a group of customers that's up in Tianjin or yesterday. So every week we have some organized trips to our Tianjin factory. Again, it is a must-see. It's mind-blowing. I mean, as a Lenovo staff myself, I feel proud of it.
Thank you so much for this. Moving on to the next question. In terms of innovation, we hear about what's happening in Tianjin. So Alexis, to you, if you think about AMD in terms of balancing innovation and also security, when developing with partners like those you see on stage, what does good partnership look like on your end?
Well,
besides having it over drinks.
Absolutely. I think partnership comes hand to hand. We've been working quite closely on a couple innovations lately, and with Lenovo, with Microsoft. As I mentioned, trust and security comes really close by. And when we build the trust, it's actually going into the development of the product from scratch. And what we developed from the CPU, GPU, NPU standpoint, and also building everything in the clouds, this is where we make a difference. And in most of the relationship is actually building quite substantial. And this is just the beginning. I think we're going to build more relationship in the development with big ecosystem, with new players, with clouds and everybody else. So that's the future.
Thank you for sharing your perspective of how you collaborate as an ecosystem partner with this gentleman on stage. See, why you talk about responsible AI, right? So from your perspective, what's the biggest barrier to scale AI usage in this part of the world? Is it technical? Is it cultural? Is it ethical? Or all of the above?
Yeah, I think I addressed a little bit earlier. I think
right.
it will be all of the above. Especially when you come to a conclusion, if you can earn trust, when it comes to AI adoptions, that will go a long way. But ultimately, when you come back and think about it, it's all about user experience. So when you develop AI, we have to implement a couple of things, right? Number one is making sure that the whole life cycle are controlled, number one. Secondly, it has to be transparent as well, right? And then the third, you must have a user oversight. So you have someone physically as a person to monitor the whole process, making sure that everything is running smoothly according to the governance, and this is like a loop cycle that you keep on going and going and going. So I think to me that is the ultimate goal that we try to achieve together with all our customers and of course with partners out there as well.
Thank you for sharing about that loop cycle. So over to you, either Daniel or Nigel, right? When you look at this partner on stage, how do you really drive that integrated collaboration? Either one of you, yeah.
I think if you take a step back, I think gone are the days of proprietary software or hardware. So Lenovo always believe in partnering. I mean, partnership with AMD and Microsoft. Basically, we build the best innovation, and in terms of all this collaboration, we really integrate it or collaborate at the top, at the CEO, all the way to the technical team, all the way to the engineering team, right? So we make sure this partnership will bring the best solutions to solve our customer business challenge.
Okay, I think importantly is both AMD and Microsoft have been our business partners for many years. I think over probably 20 years now, right, since we bought over the ThinkPad. But I think not only that, I think we have to trust them, right? Because again, they are part of our supply chain, and it's part of our ecosystem to deliver the best solutions to the customers, which is yourself, right? But internally, we have to go through a compliance and ethics, and this is something that was newly created about a couple of months back. Any project that we undertake with the AI name, we have to submit to the ethics and compliance and to answer 70 questions. So this is how stringent it is. It's not a joking manner, because those questions actually surrounds things like framework, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So it's very intensive, because we do not want to undertake a project or deliver something that is not ethical, or it can be hacked, right? And on the back of it is through having to answer those questions, and if there's any help that we need, then the compliance and ethics team will reach out to whoever relevant party. Then definitely it will go into AMD and Microsoft to alert them if any of the things is going to happen. So it's the intensity that we go through a project of AI is just not just talking about it, just putting on a PowerPoint slide, yeah, I can do this, do that. But really when the rubber meets the road, when we want to bid for a project, or we want to have a project that is we're going to undertake, we have to answer 70 questions. And I've seen the questions is not a joking manner. Okay, it's not like you can go through AI and get the answers, because it's all about architecture, the framework of the solution, the data that the users are gonna use, and so on and so forth. And also a lot of questions on cybersecurity, which access points gonna come in, so we need to know the customer environment. But this is for our own consumption. It's really not to be shared outside the company, right?
Thank you for giving that perspective of how you have applying this in the way that you conduct yourself. I want to pick up where you just left off and shift this to CY. You spoke earlier about trust, right? It is like we're seeing governance framework evolving rapidly from Europe, US, and Singapore. One of the key things is, how do you keep a balance in Microsoft while trying to stay innovative yet stay trusted? Can you share a case, right? A use case where governance really changed the way that you work, changed the way you develop your products?
Yeah, I think that's a very key question. If you look at the Act today globally, right, there's more than 1,000 of AI acts, right, that's been implemented. But the thing is that if you look at some of these acts, right, it can be from a very extreme kind of a risk-based regulation that has a very strict implementations, to perhaps to a Singapore model which is more collaborative, right? So I think it's about how do we adapt some of these standards into a local context. So for us, is like you have called out, the responsible AI is where we will look at some of these key areas and to make sure that we will implement the AI governance from day one. From the day one that you started to design and then testing, when you're trying to get it out from the sandbox, and then of course along the way, some of the things that Nigel has called out as well, right? The assessment, your infrastructure assessment, so on and so forth. Those are all the very key things. So I think for us is we actually use that responsible AI, and of course accordance to some of the ISO and IEC standards, plus the NIST AI RMF as well. So those are the important underlying regulations that we need to follow and look at. At the end of the day, if you look at it, is what we're trying to build here with our customer is AI is not a feature, right? We're trying to build a foundation for our customers, then they can build their solution on top of that. Yeah.
Thank you for that framework of reference that it starts at the beginning, and even at your level, you guys also referencing certain benchmarks to good in terms of the guardrails of what's needed to be done. I'm going to shift over to with you, Alexis. We spoke about congrats to the news of what happened in the US. I want to hear from you on what you see in Asia. What trends in Asia truly is driving certain developments in AI that we probably will not hear about, but maybe from your view, you're really seeing it with frontline view.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Asia is actually in the front, leading with many innovations and many technologies. And I mentioned a couple startups which are residing here in Singapore. Embedded LLM is one of them. They developed one of the tokenizers, actually managing tokens for all the applications. There are a few other stuff which we develop, and actually in Singapore, NSCC, National Supercomputer Center, we actually open specifically lab or acceleration lab where we deploy the GPUs and actually all the technology from the AMD to make it available for the developers, for the community.
Is the lab open to the public?
Yes. Majority of that is research and developers for now, and it's a center of excellence which is basically designed to get all the compute and GPU power available for the developers. And it's we're running workshops, we're running different engagement seminars, and that's the base. Another one we announced recently is NutraDC. That's another player which is coming from Indonesia, and they have more than 29 data centers in Indonesia. They also have in Singapore. What we're doing actually is bringing more compute power for them, as well as GPU power, to make sure that it's a test bed for majority of the enterprises to test the equipment and everything else. So they're becoming like a neo cloud in a way and providing those solutions. If you look outside of the academia, NUS, we also announced another heterogeneous actually cluster, which same developing the data center, compute as well as the AI developments. And again, everybody, engineers and also the students can test everything there. Another base for the academia network. And probably the last one is if you look broader in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, we actually announced another interesting development. We're actually doing the courses for the students and developers, not only for AI, but also for the chip design. On the ROCm platform, we're talking about the software stack and everything else. So we're doing broader scale of trainings to actually get a little bit more access and technology. And this is our commitment to Asia. This is our commitment and investments in the technology and AI. And that's why we're in the front foot. Thank you.
So definitely those who want to have access to the lab, make a beeline for Alexi later. Right, CY, from your perspective, what's AI development is happening in Asia that the audience may not know about, that you are really hot to share about? In terms of development in Asia, in terms of AI.
Yeah,
right.
So what happened is that for Microsoft as a whole, we do engage with the ecosystem very, very closely, right? And of course, through partnership with AMD and Lenovo. So how we look at this, there are many key players in the ecosystem. ISV is one of them, solution provider is definitely one of them, and so on. So I think for us, if I bring it back down into my key role here, that we are trying to drive an edge computing, right, with a Copilot Plus PC, we have to make sure that both of these Copilot that has been embedded into the device will be able to work seamlessly with the ecosystem. So with that in concept, then we know that underground, on the ground, those are the activities, and also we need to build up the community with all our ISV on the ground. while our worldwide team also hold a very important role, that they will actually work with all the ecosystem solution provider to make sure that all of this could work in harmony and it works on the device as well.
So this closer collaboration is unique to Asia ecosystem, is it? Is that what you're saying?
So we have uniquely into ecosystem in Asia, right? Maybe startups, people that have a good solutions around AI. But worldwide, we also have something that's bigger going on that we work with an ecosystem solution provider.
Thank you. Daniel, over to you. As you observe the landscape, the customer landscape, right? What sort of cultural habits is actually helping your customers innovate and collaborate to you and come up to you and say, I'd like to test this POC? What are you seeing?
I think if you look at Asia, I think we are a market where we have 5 billion populations, right? Probably 50% of the global population. So, and we speak all the different languages, right? So my take is that I think everyone is starting to embrace. We probably have the scale. Sometimes if you take a step back, most of the company overlook that they speak all the different languages, but today with AI, they can actually embrace and speak their own language as well, right? That's how I look at it today.
Thank you. So from the hearing, I see that Asia is truly shaping where AI is moving forward. So talk about moving forward. I'm going to pass this question to Nigel. Nigel, if we meet each other again at Switch 2030, what perception of Lenovo you would like to see completely change? If we see you 5 years from now, I mean, still with lots of nice hair. Yeah.
2030 is only 5 years away. You will not see me on stage. Probably you see a robot on stage. No, I'm just joking. It might happen, because the advancement of robots, humanoids, avatar it's not matured now, but it will come maturity very, very soon, especially in the advancement in the AI stack. But you see that basically I think the automation, the robotics, the AI will become more and more advanced. I think now 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it was just about sorry Microsoft. I'm not trying to live up ChatGPT, but I think because of ChatGPT, it became a worldwide phenomenon, right? But we know that it's not. I mean, AI was even before ChatGPT. In fact, it started in the 1950s in one of the universities in the US. There was an article, there was a book written about AI. Talking about 70 years ago, and then because of ChatGPT, everything it became explosive. And now, I think most of the forums, if you look at 2 years ago and now, I think most of the forums, people are now talking about quantum, right? And is quantum going to be available? In fact, quantum is really here. It's only how far advanced is this going to bring forward to the public. So I think by 2030, I don't have the crystal ball, but of course, a lot of things will be advanced, a lot of things will be quadruple, or even whatever times here. I think the Moore's law actually doesn't work these days anymore. The 2 by 2, the multiplier 2 by 2, right, is no longer existing today. I think now nobody can predict what is going to be the future, but it's going to leapfrog so fast. By 2030, as I say, maybe you will just see a robot sitting here. I'll be probably at home just talking to you. Or probably I can do it the night before. You just send me the question the night before. The robot will talk on my behalf. Because you'll be thinking like me by then.
I'm looking forward to talk to the real Nigel rather than the Nigel avatar. I think CY will agree that yes, OpenAI may have started the ball rolling, but it was Microsoft who actually early seeded the development of OpenAI to give them a much needed lift at the beginning. All right, to close off this session, I'm going to run through this final statement with each one of you to hear your perspective and thoughts. So complete this line for me and for the audience here. Smarter AI will matter most when it helps us to... Okay, starting from Alexis.
That's a good question. I think the smarter AI actually help us to solve challenges, real-world challenges, with the right tools, open ecosystem, and the right partners. That's what I see is so critical for us to get to the next stage.
Thank you. CY?
Yeah, I think similar to that, but I'll put it in changing a complexity more into clarity. I think with that can help us to make a better decision faster.
Moving from complexity to clarity. Daniel?
I would say smarter AI, basically you do more with less and better productivity.
Yes, definitely better productivity. And last but not least, Nigel.
I think smarter AI is to bring us, be smarter. That's for sure. More precise, because I think the AI is the one that's going to piece all the data together and give you the answer that you need. And then Daniel has mentioned, it's about making quicker decisions, because the speed of business these days is no longer, like 10, 20 years ago, where you can take time to say, okay, I'll come back to you in 2-3 days. These days, customers are saying, you should have given me the answer yesterday. So I think, again, but we need to be careful. AI is a tool. AI is not there to make decision for you. The humans are still needed to make decision, and AI is to assist the decision maker to make the right decision.
Thank you for that gentle reminder that at the end of the day, AI for all its shapes and sizes is still a tool. We still need an intelligent human or human intelligence behind this. Right, as we have heard from the panelists, whether it's across chips, clouds, or customer, the message is consistent. Smarter AI will deliver results when it's trusted, when it's responsible, when it can be measured by outcomes and results as shared by Nigel. So let's give a warm round of applause to our panelists, and thank you very much for joining us at Switch.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, gentlemen. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break, explore the exhibition. We've got more than 400 tech companies, lots of collaboration opportunities. Connect with each other. You got to be back by 12:40 p.m. Grab some lunch as well. At 12:40 p.m., right here at the main stage, we're going to kick off the first of the domain finals for Slingshot. Very exciting deep tech startup competition. Top 60 global startups will be pitching live to an esteemed panel of judges, all vying for that coveted spot in the grand finals. 12:40 p.m., back at the main stage. Have a delicious lunch